The City of Gold, El Dorado. People seem to still be looking for it today. I wonder if the first people who transmitted the story were selling it for $50 a month with timed entrances to make sure those who wanted to find it didn't miss out. I wonder if the people transacting it today know that they're selling the same adventure that's been sold to people for thousands of years. I wonder if they know exactly what it is that they're selling. Selling ED seems to be a much more lucrative business than selling things, and it seems that the allure to give people something more than bread alone, quality notwithstanding, is too strong to resist. That's probably why utopia doesn't work. It makes us confuse the things of life with the life in of itself. But it also seems to explain why the idea of utopia is so effective. If you can sell someone on the idea that the food they eat, the house they live in, and the immediate pleasures they encounter are the totality of life, simply take your fill of those things, and life can't be meaningless, sad, or worthless. Maybe people aren't careful enough with the things they say, and by accident they cause suffering. Not the careless words, but the carefully crafted words that find their way into your thoughts and plant a seed. But like a seed in stony places, when the hard times come, the plant is uprooted and collapses on its neighbor. I remember these ads for Masterclass. Carlos Santana teaches to play guitar. Even in the 30 seconds you hear from him, you can already tell that he's as bad as the worst out of it hippie that has ever tried to teach. There were always these teachers that were too idealistic to say anything, and made me figure that relating ideas is probably as hard as discovering them. Carlos Santana, as obvious as his talent is, seems to be unable to relate with any grounded reality the concepts that he's discovered. This is nothing against him in particular, but as an example of the phenomenon, and only because of his immense skill on the guitar, he seems like an apt image. The other aspect of it is the confusion of skill and auctoritas. Auctoritas is the Latin word from which we derive authority, but it meant something more than that. It is something like the command of prestige, and a certain kind of command of prestige that is recognized by all. It is one thing to gain prestige, even to gain it in many fields, but to have a command of it is something else entirely. I suppose that where I'm going with this is to the point I may have had in mind when I started writing. It relates somewhat to the Masterclass grift, maybe in actuality an offshoot of a pyramid scheme. Find someone with some prestige, whether it be a tangible skill or command in speech or whatever talent they have marketed successfully. Then you convince an audience into paying a premium to be a part of the inner circle that gains access to the special knowledge that will lead them to the City of Gold. This is used by many with varying degrees of grift, and I'm not exactly in any position to judge. I've never found myself a part of any of the initiates, and I suppose that if I had sampled a good deal of them in a more scientific manner, I could probably speak on the subject with some authority, but maybe I can say that at least I don't have any specific biases toward a particular grift. Whether or not that's worth anything is probably up for debate. Either way, I started thinking about this subject when I saw that one of the people I subscribe to on YouTube, who by all appearance has an incredibly marketable skill, was selling time-sensitive spots to his class on how to become a successful YouTube or social media creator, guaranteed to make at least $1,000 a month after redacted units of time. It called to mind similar ideas, such as the aforementioned Masterclass, and another less reputable Map to the City of Gold, Hustlers University. The latter probably resembles more of a pyramid scheme, while the former has a $2.75 billion valuation. This doesn't guarantee that it's not a pyramid scheme, but money usually means something. Theranos and FTX come to mind here as strong counterweights, but I guess that you'll know the tree by its fruits. Then I wonder where an obviously talented individual such as the man I subscribe to fits on that spectrum. Well, I'm not going to buy the class, so unless I care enough to do petty research, it's unlikely that I'll ever find out. It doesn't chafe at me too terribly, and at the very least it helped me think of a good historical example for how to describe these things succinctly in the future. Now I suppose the only thing left to do is to find something antithetical to the City of Gold. You are the light of the world. A city upon a hill cannot be hidden. This passage from Scripture describes the idea of a city that can't help but be seen, whether encountered through the Bible, John Winthrop, one of the early founders of Massachusetts, or JFK. This might be the solution I'm looking for. A city on a hill, all of its successes and failures plain for everyone to see, is a place that people want to flock to. It's the ultimately saleable idea, but unlike a peddler dealing in false dream weaving, it's so profitable that it doesn't need to be sold. There's certainly a part of all the things I've listed that are like a city on a hill. In their most honest parts, they can't help but be vulnerable to all prying eyes for better or worse. I wonder if it's money, the dirty transactional nature of hiding something, that intrinsically makes it worse. I don't believe that entirely, but if you aren't selling hard goods, what are you selling? Well, you're selling something, just not hard goods. Maybe an idea isn't worth being sold, because if it was so good and profitable, it wouldn't need a salesman. Maybe people, and I fall into this category somewhat, don't like the middleman, and whether or not their economic value can be made certain isn't of consequence. This is one of the reasons why successful economic middlemen, like the commercial roles immigrant Jews tend to play, are so despised. But then it becomes so muddy that you might have to consider all of the grifters as possibly having some genuine product that has value after all. And the only real answer is yes, you do have to consider the possibility, and do your best to know the tree by its fruits. If it makes bitter fruit, spit it out and curse the tree that it should grow no more. If the fruits are sweet, eat plentifully and gain your fill, but don't forget that man does not live on fruit alone. You are the light of the world. A city upon a hill cannot be hidden.